Hey everybody, I'm Katallina, and today we're here to talk about episode 5 of Oshi no Ko Season 2. One of the songs I used to really love to perform is Laura Fabian's I Will Love Again, and one of the lines inside of that is, I would die for you gladly if I knew it was for real. Well, I've always felt that was a little bit melodramatic, but in this episode, Akane actually takes it to the next level because instead of saying she would die for someone, she's literally saying that she would hypothetically kill for someone, or at the very least that she would be their partner in crime. The conversation between her and Aqua was absolutely shocking and amazing. I was looking forward to seeing what they would do with this plotline and with these characters. I wasn't sure whether I would expect something like this to happen, but I'm very impressed and I'm very intrigued. I wonder just how serious she is about this if she thinks about it in full, or whether she'll end up getting cold feet later. I also wonder how willing he will be to actually let her help him, especially since their conversation was actually done in hypothetics. I find it very interesting that it was done in hypothetics because if you look at a lot of the stuff that was happening in this episode, a lot of things were about will they or won't they, or about real interests and conflicts and situations versus some kind of fake world. Whether we are talking about this situation and the fact that a very real and very dangerous situation was actually discussed in hypothetical terms, or the fact that with the situation with Kana and Akane, their actual real world conflict is going to assumedly be carried out on stage, or the fact that Aqua's very real breakdown that is impacting him in the real world is from memories and from self-inflicted guilt that comes from his mind. Even the seemingly largely harmless interactions between the different guys and Ruby that happened later in the episode were in some way a will they or won't they situation because there was no guarantee of how she would actually react. And there is the reality of what the guys might want versus the illusion of how pretty she is and everything, and the fact that it's mainly because she was related to Ai and all that. So it was very interesting to see how everything came at things from those angles. I think it's really cool that we are set up to actually see the play, and I wonder just how they will actually carry that out as the season progresses. Will they end up doing the play very quickly, and will we end up getting a second major arc within the season? Or are we going to be taking our time with the play, and is the play going to be juxtaposed with different aspects of what's going on with the characters and their lives in some way or another? Either of those could hypothetically be very intriguing. While we're on the topic of the play, another thing that I thought was very interesting is how we saw all of the conflict with the mangaka earlier in the season, and then how we see her and the scriptwriter actually supporting each other and actually being very nice to each other now that we've reached this point of the story. I hope that for Akane and Kana that eventually they can get past the insecurities that they both seem to have and the rivalry they have toward each other, and that they can recognize that they both have different techniques and they can both be great actresses, because I think it's kind of sad that they can't really seem to deal with that. Although if we're being fair, there is the reality that those two also have the issue that they both like Aqua. And the thing with that, of course, is the reality that in that situation, if either of them can even win, which I personally doubt, I don't think he has it in him, and that's kind of scary. But they both seem to really want this guy, and they don't seem to understand who he is or what he is really. And I mean, that's not their fault. I mean, he's done everything he can to keep them at arm's length, I would presume. I mean, he's doing stuff with Akane with regard to business, but he tends to be very focused on how he does that. And the stuff we've seen in this episode is some of probably the most honest we've seen him be with her. And again, it was in hypothetics, so she doesn't necessarily believe him. I mean, she might, but I mean, it's not written in stone. It was said in such a way that it's very careful, which makes sense. It was really interesting to see the tension between Akane and Kana, though, and to see just how much history the two of them have. I did also find it funny that Aqua mentioned the fact that he recalls that when he first met Kana, there was part of him that wanted to kill her. And you gotta remember, that's definitely said tongue-in-cheek, because he met her before any bad stuff had happened, before he would understand the psychological consequences of what it would actually mean to take a life or to see someone lose their life. And that's another thing to think about with regard to Aqua and his overall quest for vengeance. Aqua very clearly and very deeply knows what it means to feel loss. I think the thing that really gets him, in my opinion, is that he feels that he failed I. And that probably has a lot to do with how he is now and with the guilt that he's dealing with, because my man is definitely dealing with some heavy-duty survivor's guilt, and that shit ain't no joke. Overall, though, I thought this was a rock-solid episode. I think they dealt with some really interesting stuff, and they've definitely opened the door to some various situations, whether we're talking about what happens with Ruby and people potentially pursuing her, or whether we're talking about what happens with the play, with Akane and Kana's connection, or what's going on with Akane and Aqua with regard to what they talked about here. There's definitely a lot that they could dig into, and there's definitely a lot that could be really interesting. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'd love to know what you guys were thinking though, so drop a comment below and let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. See you later. Bye!